Hello and welcome to week 12 of MO1A. This is Professor Gifford, and I would like to walk you through the assignment that we were given for the essay, and then this week's assignment, which is the outline for the essay. To get to the essay assignment, click on week 11. I will do so, and I will wait. And you will see that we are working on a comparison or contrast essay. Now, remember, you're not trying to do both, you're trying to do one. So you're either trying to compare or contrast, and this is going to be written in point-by-point method. Let's take a look at the assignment and see if there are anything, or if there is anything that I can help you with. First of all, you should look at your original novel, which is Pleasure of My Company by Steve Martin, and that is going to be our first source for this essay, meaning that it's going to be a primary source. You are going to be using that to either compare or contrast to another literary work. Do you have to read another novel in order to perform this essay? No, you do not. You can go and find a short story, or you can go and find a novella. You can find anything that is a written work of fiction. Please, no nonfiction. You cannot really compare or contrast fiction to nonfiction convincingly, certainly not in this space of time. You are going to be looking at the two works of fiction and then choosing, am I going to compare or contrast? Your thesis should be developed on the idea that you are going to do only one of these two things. Do not try to compare two things and then contrast a third. You want to either go with straight comparison. Pleasure of My Company is like Notes from the Underground because of this, this, and this, or you're going to talk about contrast. They are different because of they're different in this way, and in this way. Different aspects of differences can help you, and aspects of similarity can help you. What you're trying to do is find interesting things to write about on two works of fiction. You'll notice it says it's good to maybe think about style, story, or plot, theme, characters, dialogue, setting, humor. All of these are topics that can be compared and contrasted. So think about using those. Things like the length of the story, the font, the weight, the shape, the print quality. I know this sounds obvious, but I've actually had somebody do a contrast or comparison on each of these things in this list, and that's why I put them in the list. Anyway, so now we're going to look at the example thesis, and we'll move on to the outline right afterwards. We are looking at Steve Martin's Pleasure of My Company is actually quite similar to Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground in the internal style of writing, the mentally unstable characters, and the humor found in pain. So I've given an explicit thesis statement, this would go at the very end of the introduction, to tell you what I am comparing between these two works of fiction. The first thing I would talk about then is the internal style of writing. You notice how Daniel has a kind of internal monologue that goes on in his mind for most of the book. I would find examples of this internal style of thinking. I would then find quotes from the book, and then maybe a little external research on the psychology of this kind of internal manic behavior. Maybe that would help me understand the characters better, if it fit both the character from Pleasure of My Company and Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground. So this is going to be due November 18th by 11:30. Please make sure that it's 3 full pages minimum. You should not be counting the MLA page. 3 content pages minimum, all the way to the bottom, please. And look at getting at least 2 supports from each story. And maybe occasionally look for an outside source that would help you prove that the characters had, well, in this case, it would be psychology. Maybe a literary critic could help you with humor. And the mental unstable, that's another psychology. So in each of these body paragraphs, look to the outside to see if you can find scholarly support for the ideas that you are imposing upon in this comparison or contrast. If you can, great. If you can't, It's okay to just use the two primary sources, but I'm trying to, train you to do a little bit more. So if at all possible, see if you can move forward and find some external sources as well. Going back to this week, which is week 12. As you can tell, my computer is ancient, but it works for me. It will come along. We are doing an outline, and this outline is based on the essay assignment that we just looked at. So, we come down to week 13, no. Week 14, no. Week 12, fantastic. And in week 12, you see you have an outline assignment. This is a full sentence outline, which means every single notation you have should be a complete sentence. I don't want anything that is just a phrase. I want you to be able to pick out sentences from this outline and place them directly into your paper as you go forward. We're trying to make the outline more useful to you, and this is one way to do it, is to make certain that you are writing in complete sentences in the outline so that you can actually utilize that work directly in your paper when you start writing the essay. So you are going to be comparing or contrasting one work of fiction from the class, Pleasure of My Company, to another work of fiction, which is your choice. I've had some questions about what is a good choice for another novel. I certainly not going to try to impose my view of taste upon you. However, I would tell you something like Twilight, the romantic vampire series that are going on right now, might not be a good fit with Pleasure of My Company, because one is a little bit more of a work of someone trying to create literature, and the other one is more what you would call popular fiction. Popular fiction, if you had two popular fiction works, it would be a good comparison contrast. However, in this case, I don't find Twilight to be a great choice. I've had people choose Twilight. I will accept it as a choice. I'm just trying to lead you towards where I think you will have your best challenge to find interesting materials, and those would be other works of literature. That means Faulkner, Steinbeck, and on and on. You can go and find a short story and find a lot to work with. Vampires, Daniel's not a vampire. I could see it, but I'm just not. Yeah. Anyway, so we are going to also comment on other students' outlines. So you'll see that once the outline assignment has been posted on November 11th, you're also going to be commenting on two other peer outlines, and that should be done by November 15th so that they'll have time to look at some of the things that you've posted before they have to actually turn in their paper. So what we're going to be doing is an outline. I will post a template for you as well on the front page so that you can take a look at what another comparison contrast outline looks like. And then we will move forward and create an outline for the paper that you are going to be turning in on November 18th, which is the comparison or contrast paper written in point-by-point method. That's about it from the hills above Stevenson Ranch. This is Professor Gifford signing off.